You know, there are times when we run into a story that just doesn't fit into any one category.
Yeah, true, Shannon, but it would be a real shame if we didn't find some way to share those stories with you.
So we created this little segment for you, so we had a place to put all these little gems.
And what else could we call it other than your Jackson County Potpourri?
After all the advanced budget planning, each department presents their annual budget. This helps us understand the nuances of the work they do for the citizens of Jackson County all year round. Let's listen to some of the presentations.
Our strategic objective is to find new ways to allow the airport to remain competitive in the market for our airlines and other tenants while remaining a self-supporting enterprise funds. We use no general funds from the county whatsoever. Passenger employments are projected to increase by 10 to 15% over the prior year, which increases our passenger facility charge revenues, which are currently set at $4.50 per passenger, as well as commissions paid to us from other concessionaires. Indications are that airlines are slowly upgauging aircraft and adding seats. Operating expenses are projected to increase slightly, but no FTEs were added to this budget. Full-time employees. Financial summary, the airport is in excellent financial shape.
Over the course of the last year, we identified probably the weakest link in our criminal justice system, and that's our jail services, and that's based on just a lack of capacity at this point. So we're really focused on trying to figure out ways to better use those resources that we have and working towards eventually a proposal for additional bed space or a new facility.
We were selected by the legislature to be a pilot program in Oregon for recording grand jury. That had never happened in the history of Oregon. So there's 3 counties, Deschutes, Jackson, and Multnomah County are the 3 pilot counties, and we launched that program in March of 2018. One of our FTEs goes to facilitate making those recordings, providing those recordings to the defense, and tracking those recordings. So that's our other new position. In the legislation, they promised and set aside some funding to pay the pilot counties for additional costs. And so we've been keeping track of those, and we go before the E-Board in May to ask for a reimbursement. So we're expecting that position will be reimbursed back to the county through the legislative funds.
On the juvenile side, we had 982 youth referrals. The piece that stands out for me is the percentage of female referrals at 32%. I've worked for this county for 20 years now, and when I started, it was more of a, we were always focusing on young men, and quite frankly, our services were set up to deal with and address the criminality of young men. Since we've seen this shift in population over the years, we're looking to change our approach. We're dedicating 2 of our caseloads in terms of how we supervise female juvenile offenders. So they will be community-based female offender supervision caseloads, and we'll rely on the family, we'll rely on treatment providers, the school, and nonprofits in the way we provide a net of services for these young women who are entering our system at a rate more commensurate with the young men. So that's a newer development that we're addressing through adjusting the services we provide.
As you know, the Justice Court District is a self-funded program that contributes to the general fund. You see a trend line over the last 4 years from the fiscal year 14-15, where we were at 1.8 million in revenues. We're down about a third to 1.2, but at least the last 2 years, that's a leveling out of that trend line. Expenses are stable over that period. We do have a 1 FTE reduction in clerks, and that keeps our benchmark of about 3,000 cases per clerk stable over the last few years.
Accomplishments for this year, one of them was surviving the workload that we had. We had some turnover of staff, we had some new positions, we also have the increased marijuana workload that we have. Actually, in the planning division alone, it was 51% of our cases were marijuana cases. In the code enforcement cases, there were 54%. were marijuana cases.
The corner program deals with maintenance of physical marks and records. This is really important, corners. They're vital to many things. Pretty much the foundation of taxation, mapping, all legal descriptions is based off of it. And as I mentioned before, we do this with no general fund support. We are the most populated county of any count in the state of Oregon that has an entirely self-supporting surveyor's office.
This is the 34th year that we've won the GFOA award for our CAFR. We have won that award more than any other county in Oregon. We even beating Multnomah County, who is usually the one that we're looking at how they do things and copying it the best we can. And then we also have our PAFR, which I introduced to you last year, which is the Popular Annual Financial Report, which is the real pretty 5-pager that highlights our finances for the year. We did earn the award from GFOA for that as well for the second year. There's only 400 entities in the nation that have earned that award, 8 in Oregon, and we're the only county.
Some of the highlights from this past year, I know that you've seen quite a few of them and you've been very kind as they've come up to say congratulations, and I thank you for those. I probably could have 6 or 7 slides for this one topic, but the ones that we felt like were the most important was our 2017 fair. Albeit that it was very successful, we had a couple of challenges with it. At the same time, we did increase our ticket price for the first time in many years. We also had a competition that we didn't really quite see. We thought that there might be, but we weren't sure, in terms of the demographics for our concerts and the number of people that would attend our concerts, with Country Crossings coming 10 days later. So I think that we can attribute some impact hit from that. But overall, we had a wonderful fair, and the sponsorships for the things that are so important to our valley, the things like free parking, kids free for kids 12 and under, and for Sunday gates for the Sunday admission to be free, are renewed again for this year. So we can say thank you again to Butler Automotive, to the West Family Foundation, and also to Ray's Food Place for those things that we'll be able to offer back to our community to get them to come to the fair. Our amphitheater, over the course of the last year, of course, got a new sponsor. We have the Bimart Amphitheater. It's a 3-year contract. Very excited to have them on board. They've given us a lot of opportunities that we wouldn't have had before.
So just a few highlights from our parks program. It's very stable and it continues to improve. And the main reason for that are we are managing more revenue producing parks than we had in the past, and that's changed our program considerably. We took back some parks that we used to concession out and assumed management and ownership of, or management and operations of those, and that's made a big difference. The Southern Oregon RV Park is exceeding expectations and is doing great. We don't have any general fund in the parks program this year, but I would note that several years ago we took a loan from the general fund to build the RV park. Our loan payment this year is projected, we budgeted to be $355,000. Our payment schedule that we had agreed to with the board to repay, it was $182, so essentially we're making a double payment this coming year. So we're paying the loan off faster than we had anticipated, and that was the goal all along.
So New Oregon Motor Voter, which was implemented in January of 2016, all phases of that process are now complete, meaning the implementation, the look back of bringing voters on who were qualified to register but weren't registered. And we currently, as of my date of printing this document, have 148,149 registered voters. So we have increased over 20,000 since the last general election. So we have seen definitely a sizable increase in Jackson County, and that stands true around the state as well.
Veteran services, we got this from a VA number that has been vetted, and it seems like a big number, and we kind of scratch our heads about it, but it demonstrates that we played a part in the number of veterans that are in this community getting some form of service-connected disability. It's $109 million in the last year. Yeah. So again, the $500,000 or so that you all have put into this program is really then leveraging them getting service-connected disability for those federal dollars that will come into this community year after year after year. And as I say almost every year, when we come into Jackson County on our roads and we have the sign that says we honor veterans, you all have prioritized this and have put your money where the mouth is, and I'm proud of that.